My dream collabos, I have so many. I would love to, I'm so excited about the Ugandan music scene right now because we have so many young people coming up and just doing amazing, amazing stuff. Forms of art that I practice, I would say definitely music. It's part of my life. I'm always listening to music, whether I'm in the kitchen, whether I'm sleeping, whether I'm in the shower, obviously at work, working on radio, but also being a musician myself. I play the flute. I've been obsessed with music from the word go. As far back as I can remember, music was always a part of my life. Also words, writing. I hesitate to call myself a writer, but I do write. I think even in terms of when I'm preparing for the show, it's a form of writing. I prepare what I'm going to say when I'm emceeing. So I would say, yeah, music and words. That's the creative space that I inhabit. I feel that I'm in the creative space that I'm in because it was my fate. It was literally destiny. But I'm lucky that my parents encouraged whatever I was passionate about. I've been passionate about music from the word jump. I've been in love with Michael Jackson from when I was a kid, and they always encouraged whenever I had a little story that I wrote, whatever books I wanted to read. I used to read a lot of fantasy as a child. Alice in Wonderland is just my spirit animal. But also it's because it's authentic. That is how I express myself, through my words and the music that I listen to. I hesitate to say the music that I create because I don't compose music, but I do play the flute. I've been playing music since I started the recorder when I was 9 years old. That's when I learned how to read music. Then when I went to secondary school, my parents asked me if I wanted to continue with music, and the instrument I chose was the flute. Not because I thought I could play it, but it was silver. I like silver things, and no one else in my family was doing it. The creative process is something that I feel it's ongoing, because as a creative, you literally are pouring yourself and your life into what it is that you're doing. When I was an active blogger, I was writing about stuff that was happening to me day to day. I went through a period where I felt I couldn't write when my dad passed away. There was like a blockage. I didn't know, because literally my world had fallen apart. So I didn't know how to express that. But I remember very well, I had a dream where he told me, he was like, "I'm not reading your articles anymore. What's going on?" And I woke up the next day and all these words were just pouring out of me. So the creative process, I feel it's an ongoing thing. It's an honest process. It can be a painful process, but it has to be real. It has to be authentic. When I'm preparing for the radio show, which we do prepare for, a lot of people think that radio presenters wake up and yap. I know there are many who sound like that's exactly what they do. No shade. But personally, I believe that you're only as good as your last show. People only remember the last thing you did. And when you are given a microphone and access to so many people, it is your duty to prepare. You have to be ready. What is it that you're going to talk about? So it is a case of just being ready and knowing. A lot of stuff, of course, comes off the cuff. And it helps when you're working with people who can feed off your energy. I'm very lucky that I work with people who are friends and colleagues. So if I throw something on the table, I know someone's going to pick it up and go with it. So the beauty of the creative process is you just have to ease into it. I like moments of silence. Normally, my day starts very early. I wake up at 4 a.m. Monday to Friday. So when I'm done with the show at 10, I need to come home and have silence. I switch off my phone. No one can access me, and I just have a moment to breathe, come back to myself. And yeah, it's I don't think there's a method to it, but you have to find your own way. You have to find your space where you come back to yourself, and you can only, I mean, it's a cliche, they say you can't pour from an empty cup. So as a creative, because you're giving so much of yourself, it's so personal, because you're giving so much of yourself to the world and putting yourself out there and being raw and vulnerable, you have to find a space where you come back and you're like, okay, Siima, what is it that you need so that you can recharge your batteries and give back to the world the next day? Navigating the creative space as a Ugandan woman is a challenge, because when people ask you, what do you do? They want to hear, oh, I'm a lawyer, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, you know. So if you're none of those things, and then you're like, oh, I'm a musician, I'm a radio presenter, hey, so you talk. And then there are expectations that come with that, because as a Ugandan woman, you're supposed to be demure. You're supposed to be seen and not heard. You're not supposed to express your opinion, and not in what is perceived as an aggressive manner. So my strength and my driving force, it has literally, it has been my parents and their support. I'm a feminist, and a lot of people wonder, they're like, oh, so what, do you hate your father, your brother? And I'm like, no, I'm a feminist because of my dad. My dad would always tell my sisters and I never want to hear of a man kicking you out of your house. I want you to kick him out of your house. So whatever it is that you are doing, just go forth with excellence. Whether you're going to be an MC, a radio presenter, a flautist, do it and do it well. And that is my driving force. That is why I am, always using my voice. One of the reasons I really wanted to get into radio, particularly in Uganda, is I felt that women on radio were supposed to be giggly and demure. You were always the secondary host to the male host, the male driver of the show. And I will never forget listening to Christine Mawadri on radio. She was on air with the late Alex Ndaula, a force. So when I got to do the show with Rudende, a force in himself, I was like, nah, you're gonna hear my voice. I'm gonna speak up. And so navigating the space is difficult, but it works when you're passionate about it. I'm so passionate about it. I'm hoping that there'll be a time when there will be more women on radio who are leading the show and speaking up, and not just there because they look good. I never thought that my being on radio or editing a magazine or even playing the flute would have an impact on other people. Initially, when I got into it, it was from a very selfish perspective. I was like, because this is what I want to do and I'm passionate about it. I'll never forget, I was performing at a wedding, and there's a gentleman who came up to me and he said, my daughter really wants to play an instrument, and I used to tell her why. He goes, but I've seen you're an accomplished woman, and clearly this is something that you're doing. He said, I'm going to encourage my daughter to do it. And that literally moved me to tears, because when I learned how to play the flute, I wasn't doing it thinking that I was going to be performing for people. I just wanted to make music and play Mozart. That was it. That's what I wanted. So to think that I changed somebody's mind and he was like, no, my daughter's going to do this, that changed my life. And I was like, okay, Siima, you need to keep doing this. My dream collabos, I have so many. I would love to, I'm so excited about the Ugandan music scene right now, because we have so many young people coming up and just doing amazing, amazing stuff. There's nothing like being in a space of Ugandan creatives. I was at a listening party recently, hosted by The Myth, and the creatives who were there, it was producers, writers, singers, rappers, and I was just happy to be in the corner and absorb the brilliance via osmosis. Like, that night lifted me spiritually. So my dream collab would be a Ugandan project with Ugandan writers, producers, cinematographers, editors. Yeah, that would just be my dream collab.
Nkete kumachako bikula Instagram ndaboba waliyo content nange njiberemu nesanga hashtag pingi ARTSY kwe kunyiga ko ndabe obaddala bya art naselengira benga platform egenda okuteka artist gwe ku form sibya kubuza mbuno gwe owasadi abnormal interviews babuza ofumbiddwa ddi ARTSY ngabo wuliriza eno ye interview dakika zibera kumizo kate muba interview ARTSY teka kola beba story